Hi people, it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new recent reads video. As I mentioned in my last video, which I just finished filming, I think that I will be able to maintain at least twice a week uploads this month, if not 3 times a week. I don't know if I will be able to upload 3 times a week this month. Let's see what happens when I start school again next week. And also, I will have an on-campus job. So I think that those two things will maybe prevent me from uploading 3 times a week, as I used to do. So for now, I'll be uploading twice a week, Thursdays and Saturdays. But that's not completely, set in stone yet. So anyway, all that to say, welcome back to my channel for a new recent reads video. August has not been the best reading month in terms of quality. It's definitely been great in terms of quantity, but it's not been good in terms of quality. And with that said, the first book on this list is called Wild is the Witch. For those who don't know, this book is a YA fantasy contemporary, and it's written by the same author of The Nature of Witches, which was one of my almost favorites of 2021. Hence why I had really high expectations for this book, and this book was on my August TBR. However, I rated this book 3 stars. It follows a young witch, like I mentioned, it's a YA urban fantasy contemporary, who must team up with a boy who hates witches when she accidentally enacts a curse that has dire consequences. I didn't like this book as much as I enjoyed The Nature of Witches, because first of all, the magic system just wasn't as enchanting and as immersive as the magic system in The Nature of Witches. So the world building just wasn't as interesting to me as it was previously, if that makes any sense. Second of all, the romance didn't really hit for me, because it included 2 of my least favorite tropes, which are forced proximity and enemies to lovers. So that I didn't love. Third of all, the characters themselves, I also wasn't that attached to, emotionally, if that makes any sense. The plot itself, though, was engaging and it was intriguing, although it's hard to separate that when I didn't really love, all the other elements, if that makes any sense. So basically, all that to say, I rated this book 3 stars, and it was overall disappointing, and I regret reading it, so all that to say is, I don't recommend it. The next book on this list is called The Season of Styx, Malone. This book is a literary historical fiction following a young black boy in 1909 who once adventured beyond his ordinary small town, but when that happens to him, he's pulled in over his head. This book is absolutely so fantastic and it's so emotional. I love it when a story has a fun, entertaining plot to it, but then it also has an unexpected emotional tone to it underneath, as you get more and more into the story, and as you start to become, attached to the characters. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, since that's a very, vague statement, but literally this book was so good. Whenever I start books that either have a very high average rating on Goodreads, or, everyone's raving about them on social media, I always have low expectations, because I think to myself, there's no way this book's as good as everyone else says it is, but this book absolutely was. I rated it 4 stars because I really, really enjoyed it. First of all, the plot was so intriguing and absolutely so engaging. The characters were so authentic and so realistic, and the friendships and the brother relationship was literally so good. This book is absolutely so awesome, and I just really, really enjoyed it because I absolutely fell in love with the story. The story is so immersive and emotional and atmospheric and so well done and so well developed. So anyway, with all that said, I rated this book 4 stars because I really, really enjoyed it, and with that said, I would highly, highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Blood Like Fate. For those who don't know, this is the YA urban fantasy sequel to Blood Like Magic, and Blood Like Magic was a 5-star favorite of this year, but this book absolutely did not live up to that hype or that expectation, and I regret reading it, and I regret putting it on my August TBR, because it was absolutely so disappointing. I literally rated this book 3 stars, because I didn't really love it as much as I used to. Literally, I think the story dragged on for so long. I understand that it's realistic for a main character to, like, beat themselves up after what happened previously emotionally, because, like, she feels like it's her fault, if that makes any sense, without spoiling the first book. So it takes her a while to, like, face the real problem and, like, realize her strength again, because she feels, like, so emotionally bad about what happened. But, like, in that sense, I felt like the story dragged on for too long. You know what I mean? Although, like, with concluding sequels, it's always hard for me to, like, enjoy them, because I know how everything's gonna end, because it's the concluding chapter. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. But anyway, basically, this book was disappointing to me, because I didn't love it as much as the previous book, because first of all, like I said, I felt like the story dragged on for too long. Second of all, I didn't care about the romance anymore as much as I used to be. And third of all, like, the family dynamics and everything were, like, wonderful and lovely and, like, well up. But I just didn't care anymore as much as I used to be, because I had a feeling that I knew where everything would be headed. Now, I didn't know where everything would be headed, but I knew where the majority of the plot points would end. So, anyway, all that to say, I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but I rated this book 3 stars. I don't recommend it, but I do recommend the first book, if that makes any sense. The next book on this list is called The Two Long Halves of Ruby Table. This book is a middle-grade contemporary following a young Jewish main character who's determined to save her cousin who's been possessed recently by an evil spirit. This book is absolutely so good, and I'm so glad that it is. First of all, the Jewish culture and history was so well done and so well developed. I can only speak on that representation to an extent since I am not Jewish myself, but I've been trying lately to read more books by Jewish authors about Jewish main characters, because I'm trying to diversify my bookshelf more and more and more. You know what I mean? Especially in that area particularly. But anyway, the point is, this book was so good. Like, even aside from the wonderful Jewish representation, literally the plot was so engaging and absolutely so intriguing. The characters were so well developed and felt so authentic. The friendships were so lovely and so wonderful. The family dynamics were so great and felt so authentic. Literally, this book is so good, and I would highly, highly recommend it, because I rated it 4 stars and I really, really enjoyed it. The last book on this list is called The Heartbreak Bakery. This book is a YA magical realism contemporary following a young agender main character who discovers that the main character's, like, baked goods that the main character, Sid, has been baking, has been, like, breaking everybody up. So Sid, the main character, tries to, like, get everybody back together and uncover, like, what's been happening. I don't know if that makes any sense. The main character, by the way, doesn't use pronouns, so instead I'm going to use Sid's name, Sid, which I don't know if is short for Sydney. But anyway, the point is, this book was good and it was solid, but it was also, like, disappointing in some elements. Like, I saw everybody talking about this book and hyping it up on Bookstagram, so I expected to rate it at least 4 stars. But I didn't. I rated it 3 stars. First of all, I will say, the romance was cute and it was fluffy. We love a good T for T romance. It was, like, well developed and fluffy and cute, so we love to see it. The plot was intriguing and engaging. The magical bakery elements were magical and fantastical and atmospheric. But my biggest critique on this book was, first of all, we never see the main character at school. Like, why isn't Sid seen in school, despite the story being set during the school year? We see, like, Sid doing homework or something, but we never see Sid in school. So, like, that's weird. Set the story during summertime. Second of all, there were so many storylines that were, like, introduced, but were never followed through. Like, I can't give you an example because I don't want to spoil the story for you, but that happened, like, multiple times, to the point that I just got used to it, but I was still, like, annoyed by it. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but basically, all that to say, I rated this book 3 stars. The queer representation was lovely and it was wonderful, but aside from that, everything else wasn't like fully developed as I felt like it should have been. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but I don't quite recommend this book, so take that as you will. So in conclusion, first of all, I hope that August improves as a reading month as the month continues in terms of quality and quantity. Second of all, for the time being, at least for the rest of this month, I think that I'm going to be uploading twice a week instead of 3 times a week. I say that as we are midway in August, so that's like not many weeks left. But anyway, that's just a little life update right now. I hope that in September, I can go back to maintaining my usual 3 times a week upload schedule, because I love uploading 3 times a week. I love filming, I love booktube, I love it all. So anyway, all that to say, for the rest of this month now, for the time being, I'll be uploading twice a week. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the piano emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!